basically due to lack of finances and resources to go to school. Bwana Manduku, what is your take on this, probably from your perspective, from your own constituency, in as far as transition is concerned?
Thank you very much, Fred, and good morning, viewers. I think from the onset, let me make it clear that even as we sit here this morning, we are all beneficiaries of education in one way or another. And I believe that it is a social responsibility of every government to ensure that its learners are kept in school, whatever the circumstances. Never mind, the new transition to the competency-based education system has brought its own challenges, right from timetabling, admission, where you find, like in my constituency, you find that a learner has been admitted to a day school which is 30 kilometers away. Despite all those challenges, I think in circumstances like this, government should make a policy decision and waive all the fees in public schools, at least for now, so that we have the 200,000 learners still at home transitioning to secondary school. Thereafter, you can come to Parliament and through the Appropriation Act, make some provision to cushion the schools. Secondly, capitation should be sent to schools at a minimum of 100% at this time. The biggest challenge facing most parents is actually school fees. I come from a rural constituency, and as I say this, I know the number of applications we have for the CDF bursaries. Beyond that, I think government should now take this as a learning curve so that we don't have the same mistake happening come January next year. It is very painful when parents still stay with their children at this time at home. Most have admission letters, yes, but they cannot raise the required school fees. A simple calculation will just ensure that we just send 20 billion shillings to these schools and all the learners report to school. If I was in a position, that's what I would do for now. But more than that, I think we also need to ask ourselves, how ready were we for the new system? Because the TSC told us that they had retooled their staff in readiness for the new system. I am told that even in some of the schools, there's no learning going on because the timetables are not out, there are no textbooks, there are no adequate teachers to teach the new pathways. And so this is something that we should look at critically. And I hope that when we go to the National Assembly, we'll be able to bring a special motion to discuss this situation.
Bwana Susion, it is a valid question whether we were ready for this transition. There may have been a lot of hope that it will be 100%, but there are serious challenges, and even the CS admits that up till now, only about 40% of textbooks have been supplied to schools, meaning that there are challenges as far as timelines are concerned. Do you feel that even this admission process has been rushed, that probably it would have been extended and prolonged to allow parents to actually have their children registered?
Let me talk about admission and transition. Admission, transition, and confusion that we have is because of complete shift in admission from manual, where principals and schools select students and admit them under their terms and conditions, to ICT infrastructure, where the C1, C2, 3, C4 schools, they categorize. Students were allowed to select 3 in each, and then the rest you leave to the ICT. And I dare say all over the world, schools admit students. So you must allow schools to participate in admission. And there ought to be an integration of the ICT infrastructure, admission, and the manual process, so that then, if we're talking about the category C1, we have a meeting of principals and the product of the ICT process deployed to them, discussed, agreed, amended, corrected, and then we have the C2 categories, C3, C4, in that manner. That would have ensured that the policy is implemented seamlessly, unlike what we had, so that then parents are reacting to issues of quality in our schools. And when you look at the C4 schools, quite a number of schools, parents are shying away and they would want better schools. And that is why there's been a lot of confusion about change of schools, because parents are reacting indeed to quality. And it is not very much about the cost. It's not about the cost, it's about the quality. When we come, and that needs to be worked on, so that then if we're asking about the readiness of senior secondary for the pathways, that's a big question. Did we as a country, first of all, do a summative evaluation and of grade 9, the JS? We must have an exit report of the successes and failures and gaps. And of course, there's been preparation for senior school, the pathways. But then, are all the schools really prepared for the 3 pathways? That's a very fundamental, valid question that needs to be asked without blaming anybody. And in any case, were we really fully prepared for CBC? Professionally, we need to get down to the basics and facts. If we get back to my arguments in 2016, 2017, the country was not prepared. Things were hurried. You don't hurry reforms in education. You do them meticulously through evidence-based process. And the Matiangis and Magoa's dictatorship around the curriculum and shortcuts is what accumulated to all these problems, which the current administration has been trying to navigate through review. The only thing a government can do now is to review. You can't throw out a curriculum. The only thing the government can do is to make things work, which of course, that's what the government has been trying to do. In terms of funding, just to inform Mheshimiwa, Kenya as a country is now almost leading in Africa in putting funds and resources to education. We are almost at 6% of GDP, 28% of overall national budget. But the issue is accountability. Is it going to the right investment area? Are these funds that are meant to invest even in infrastructure doing that work? Is it delivering? We are talking about disbursement. We are not talking about accountability. Okay. We must see what the funds are doing for the learner in the classroom. And when you talk of the policy of non-exclusion of students, it is there in law, Basic Education Act. No child should be blocked from attending schools for lack of fees. That is the law. So all the children who have been admitted should report to the schools. Even without money? Yes. Okay. Yes. That is what the law says.
They should not,
that is what the law says.
They should not allow chiefs.
That is what the law says. So that then
I'll come to you.
We deal with the issues of problems. You see, the fees we are talking about are for boarding. And you look at the boarders in senior secondary, those who attend boarding in terms of population is 26%. The rest are in day schools, the so-called C4 categories. And that is where now the MPs and the leadership and communities, let me not even say government, should work on quality investment in the C4 schools. Okay. So that it meets the threshold of delivering quality education.
You wanted to add something briefly before I come to Prof.
I like what Mwalimu was saying, that he's an expert in that area, but there's something else I don't agree with. The use of chiefs and sub-chiefs to mop up our kids or our learners from home to take them to school. This is trying to militarize education. I like the idea that should be a community effort. My uncles, aunties, parents taking their learners or their children to school, not the police, chiefs and sub-chiefs.
Okay. All right. Prof, I saw you disagreeing with what Mwalimu was saying when he talked about funding. Talking about how much this government has allocated to the education sector. But it is a fact that education is the biggest spend on our national budget annually. What were you disagreeing with?
Yeah, first of all, Fred, it's amazing. You know, I've been a professor in a classroom, and I left teaching in the classroom because I think I'm transitioning to become Mwalimu wa Taifa, because there's a lot of people that needs to be really educated, even like, for example, how Sosian is speaking, because it is completely not true. Fred, facts do not lie. You know, World Bank just released a report that Kenya is number 10 among the countries with extreme poverty. Tanzania is better now than Kenya, and it's not my statistics. Why are people suffering like that? Because this government collects money but don't put money. We've been discussing with you here the difference between economic growth and economic development. And this discussion today again explains it the easiest way possible. That they are collecting more money than Uhuru's time, than Kibaki's time, than Moi's time, but we are seeing less of that money in school. Because, Fred, as an economist, if you want to understand how life goes, go to the household and look at what do families spend money on. One on food, one on education, one on healthcare, and there could be other things that they spend money on. But those are very key things. Now, if one household has no healthcare working, the same household, education is not working for them. The same household has challenges of food. That same household has unemployment. That's what the nation looks like. So, do you know why Kenya is featuring with extreme poverty? We have high income levels in Kenya. Education, you're on your own. Healthcare, you're on your own. On food, you're on your own. When there's a burial, you're on your own. So all these things together can't help you. Should the government of Kenya had just gotten right one thing, let's say education is working for all of them, then if you look, Fred, and I'm an economist, I can tell you that every household has an average of 4 kids, average in Kenya. We have 12,500,000 households in Kenya. They spend an average of 68,000 shillings per year per child. So if you have 4 children, can you imagine how your pocket looks like? I know some people spend less because some schools are cheaper, but some people spend a lot more because of their income, but those are average figures. So should you just declare that every Kenyan will have free education, then you have taken away 68,000 times 4 from each and every household. That money now can help someone in healthcare, if at all there's no healthcare, or it can help you maybe start a business. So we are looking at a government we don't understand what's happening. And I think that I've been assuming for long that they understand, they are just not doing it.
All right.
But now I'm getting to the point they don't understand. Let me add to another point, Fred. I want to tell my brother, Mheshimiwa Daniel Manduku, when he says that it is a social responsibility of a government to ensure education works. It is not a social responsibility. This is a public good. Social responsibility is just something you do out of your wish, isn't it? But this is the essential work of a government, that education works. And I want to say very clearly that if you look at, Fred, just wait. I
want to give him a chance before we take a break.
No, just shortly. Yeah. I'm just trying to say that now, why is this transition not happening? Look at the cost. You buy uniform, transport, boarding fees, learning materials. There are hidden costs, like I talk about free, development fees you have to pay, examination fees, activity fees. These are all compounding together that even the cost of university does not happen, the cost of education does not happen. That's what I'm trying to tell you. We need to have a government that understand how do parents spend and how can they alleviate that pain from them rather than we are doing this. And lastly, William Ruto said when he joined government, he was going to review the CBC. I think, remember, that was in his manifesto. And they're still saying we didn't know what was happening. They are now almost 4 years into government, and they're still saying that they are supposed to review it. Yet they said when Uhuru was implementing using, now he's blaming Matiang'i, he's blaming Wakiramagoha. Yet they said they were going to review, and the president appointed what called the Presidential Party, Working Party on Education. They gave me a report. That report they have never implemented.
Okay.
And now they're telling us...
Dr. Mbai was actually in charge of delivery for this government.
You are actually in charge of it.
He was in charge of delivery, and now you are Secretary Planning and Economic Affairs at DCP. Where did we fail in ensuring that things work by now? Because it's been quite a long period. And what would you do different?
It's very simple. Fred, first of all, you cannot come and begin blaming the previous government over anything after 4 years. You can't. First of all, that's a failure of governance. Two, yes, we all agree there was a mistake. And I don't know why my friend Mheshimiwa Sassion keeps reminding us that CBC was not supposed to be. We cannot go back to history. It happened. Uhuru Kenyatta was the president. But when this regime came, said, instead of killing it, that there was a working party to review and see the way forward. My question is, Fred, the implementation of the working party report. Because, experts sat down and it was very clear, do this and this and that. Very simple. Unfortunately, there is always a problem in implementation. I think 3 years down the line later, shuffle this, shuffle the other, take this PS there, bring another one, who don't understand exactly what happens in the education system. Now, in the 4th year, going to the 5th year of this government, we are still not sure. Look at what is happening. So you're asking a question. What should have happened? This is what we are saying. As we speak today, Fred, all the kids of all the middle class and above are in school. The kids who are not in school are the people who vote for this government, who voted for this government. They're at home. Most of them, they're actually kids who are being brought up by grandmothers. The calls I've gotten from Nakuru, they are very desperate. These are grandmothers. The kids are not there. Either they moved out of the homes. They have left the grandmother. So what are we saying now? We can talk many things. Fred, by the time this exercise is over, we expect to have an audit telling us that how many kids passed by what points. Are they in the schools they were supposed to be? Right? That's very important. If you had passed to be able to be in C1, we want you to be in C1. That is the audit we are waiting for. And we are working with our education experts to tell us what are the ranks? Mm-hmm. Did they go to schools as supposed to? This issue of disadvantaging some kids, taking them to schools where yet they had passed to go to other schools. That's number one. But number two, Fred, this is what we want, because we must also act with the urgency before we talk about policy reviews. And because this government is not able to do any reviews anyway, we are going to do it ourselves next year. We have all the understanding, we know. Like I said, we went through that ministry, sat down with about 100 senior government officers, and they told us what needs to be done. Mm-hmm. Friend, if you go to Jogo House today, there is a report on what exactly was supposed to be done for this, to fix what was not fixed. You come and tell us, Magoha, mentioning people who are even less in peace, already they passed on. Now, what do you want them to do? To reselect and do something? What am I saying? Within the next 1 or 2 weeks, Fred, we expect 100% transition. We expect, and I'm urging...
That was a promise.
That we must have it now. We are not talking about stories. And by the way, Fred, let me say this. We are asking all the kids. I don't know how, Mheshimiwa, you want community to begin tracking the kids. We want all the kids who are not going to school to report to the CDF offices immediately and camp there until they get national... education is a national government business, right? It's through the members of parliament, they're the ones who to go and let the kids come there like 100, camp there in that office of CDF, let them sort the kids, go to school 100% transition. Because their own kids are in schools. Let me tell you,
in the Muli,
I am not here myself as Mbaye because of myself. I'm a leader. And we need people who are all over in Turukana, right? In Siaya. We need people in Muranga, in Molo, in Taita Taveta. We need people who have no capacity to come and talk. So I'm asking all the kids. Let them go and camp at CDF offices until MP through the national government. Then they can look for the CS, the PS, all that, the money. They have the CDF money. They can sort the kids. Please, if you don't do that, we cannot.
Manduku, you've been fighting for NGCDF. Yes, it comes with the responsibility as well.
There's a difference between the CDF office and the Ministry of Education office, or the county commissioner's office. I think Dr. Fry needs to know that.
I think his argument is on the fact that
I'm talking about oversight. By the way, I'm not talking...
The bursary kitty under NGCDF is quite huge.
And also
that is a misconception. Let me tell you.
It's an education issue.
It's a misconception.
Briefly before you
let me give you numbers, the statistics. The CDF kitty for Nyaribari Masamba this year is 65 million shillings. Bursary kitty. There's a cap. 65 million shillings. I have got 19,400 vetted applicants. Do the math. 65 million divided by 19,000 is just above 3,000 shillings. It's a transparent kitty. Even if you are to locate fairly and equitably, no kid or no learner will get more than 5,000 shillings. Some other constituencies have opted to only give day secondary schools. If I did that, I only have 4,000 of them, maximum 7,000. Then the numbers start looking okay. Some other constituencies only opt to allocate to universities. But in Nyaribari Masaba, we allocate from day secondary, boarding secondary, tertiary institutions, TVETs, and universities. Okay. And that's why I have got 19,400 applicants who will be allocated bursary equitably.
Fred, we are missing the point.
I just need some clarity. Are we taking a break so that you can come
the
back
break
and
can
continue
wait.
with this?
You know,
No, it cannot wait.
You know, by things that
Sorry.
CDF is an elastic amount. CDF is not an elastic fund. Mm-hmm. The law caps it up to 40%. And simple calculation for me is 65 million shillings for this year.
All right.
I think we are missing.
Let's take a short break. When we come back, we continue this conversation. I'll give you a chance, Mwalimu Sosion. When we come back, you're watching Morning Cafe.